6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President instructs to streamline and expedite island-wide fuel distribution. Fuel pass system is to be implemented island-wide from tomorrow. SJB requests the Prime Minister to convene the Parliament tomorrow. 6 more shipments of gas to arrive in the island during the coming weeks. The government and government-approved private schools will reopen tomorrow. In news overseas, WHO declares highest alert over monkeypox outbreak. And in sports news, the second and final test against Pakistan will begin in Galle today. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the relevant authorities to streamline and speed up the distribution of fuel throughout the island. The President gave these instructions during the discussions held at the Prime Minister's office yesterday on the fuel problem and its next steps. Regular and expedited fuel distribution for private and government buses engaged in education, fishing, tourism, agriculture and public transportation was widely discussed. The President has also instructed the Prime Minister of Transport to provide the opportunity for buses and vans transporting school children to get fuel from all Sri Lanka Transport Board-owned depots across the island. The quick implementation of the QR code system introduced for fuel distribution was also discussed. The system is to be implemented island-wide from tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Power and Energy says the pilot project to test the nationwide fuel pass system was tested in 25 filling stations in all districts yesterday. Over the last 2 days, the pilot project was tested only at selected filling stations located in the Colombo district. The NFP system was introduced to allow the general public to purchase a guaranteed quota of fuel per week for their personal vehicles. Following the registration and verification of the chassis number, the vehicle registration number, the number plate and other details by the Motor Traffic Department, a QR code is allocated to each vehicle. The main opposition party, Samanga Janabalawegaya, has requested the Prime Minister to convene the Parliament tomorrow to take up a debate on the attack on peaceful protesters and the current situation in the country. In a letter directed to the Premier, Chief Opposition Whip MP Lakshman Kiriyalla said that the attack on the Gotagogama protest site in Golface Green by the troops in the early hours of Friday is a blow to democracy. The incident has been vehemently condemned by the international community and it can be damaging the country's image further, the SJB pointed out. Meanwhile, the economic crisis faced by Sri Lanka at the current moment will worsen owing to Friday's incident, the main opposition stressed. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. Litrogas Company says that 6 more shipments are scheduled to arrive in the island during the coming weeks. Chairman of Litrogas Company, Mr. Mudita Piri, said that the gas distribution is regular and systematic at present, and the problem regarding the domestic LP gas demand will be completely solved by the end of this month. About 100,000 domestic gas cylinders were distributed in many stations yesterday too. A gazette or extraordinary has been issued appointing Vajira Abeyawardena to the United National Party's national list, the parliamentary seat left vacant after Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected to the office of the President. And to conclude the local news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President instructs to streamline and expedite island-wide fuel distribution. Fuel pass system is to be implemented island-wide from tomorrow. SJB requests the Prime Minister to convene the Parliament tomorrow. 6 more gas shipments scheduled to arrive in the island during the coming weeks. The government and government-approved private schools will reopen tomorrow. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main main news story for this morning, the Ministry of Education says that all government and government-approved private schools will resume academic activities from tomorrow. Accordingly, when the schools resume, students will be expected to come to school on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, while online learning methods will be followed on Wednesdays and Fridays, the Education Minister said. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Sri Lanka will impose power cuts of up to 3 hours today, the Public Utilities Commission Chairman Janaka Ratnayaka said. All areas will have power cuts for 1 hour and 40 minutes between 10:20 a.m. and 6 p.m. and 1 hour and 20 minutes power cuts from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. That came to you in Watchlight, and now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. WHO declares highest alert over monkeypox outbreak. Explosions rock Ukrainian port hours after the grain deal. At least 21 killed by floods in Iran. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. The monkeypox outbreak has been declared as a global health emergency by the World Health Organization. The classification is the highest alert that the WHO can issue and follows a worldwide upsurge in cases. It came at the end of the second meeting of the WHO's Emergency Committee on the virus. More than 16,000 cases have now been reported from 75 countries, said WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Explosions have rocked a key Ukrainian port just a day after Kiev and Moscow reached a landmark deal to allow the resumption of grain exports. 2 missiles hit the city of Odessa in the early hours of Saturday morning. Ukraine's military said under the terms of the Friday's deal, Russia agreed not to target ports while grain shipments were in transit. Turkey's defense minister said Russian officials had denied carrying out the attack. Flash flood killing at least 21 people in Iran's southern Fars province has been reported. The city of Estaban was the hardest hit with heavy rain, swelling, and the Rodabal River, Governor Yusuf Kargas said. Floods in Iran have been worsened by droughts caused rainwater is unusable to permeate through the sun-baked earth. Mr. Kargas said that several people visiting the riverside were caught by rising water levels. At least 55 people have been rescued. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. WHO declares highest alert over monkeypox outbreak. Explosions rock Ukrainian port hours after the grain deal. At least 21 killed by floods in Iran. That was the world news, and now let's move on to the development news. The Agriculture Ministry has decided to provide 15,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer for tea cultivation. Minister Mahinda Amarveera said that heads of the 2 government-owned fertilizer company informed him that 60% of urea received by the country from India has been distributed. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, the second and final test between visiting Pakistani team and the Sri Lanka team will be played at the Galle International Stadium today. Pakistan won the first match by 4 wickets. This will be a special feature of the 100th Test cricket match for Angelo Matthews. The felicitation ceremony will be conducted for him before the commencement of the match. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Bank of Ceylon, Sri Lanka's #1 banking brand, was once again listed among the world's top 1,000 banks listing with a ranking of 800, up 53 places from the previous year, making BOC the highest-ranked Sri Lanka bank in the listing's history. Highlighting the bank's capital health, the inclusion in the ranking by the Banker magazine UK once again reaffirms Bank of Ceylon's robust Tier 1 capital adequacy and asset base, further cementing the bank's standing as the number one bank in Sri Lanka. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news. Sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, the inflation in the month of June has increased to 58.9%. It was at 45.3% in May. This is caused due to the increase in prices of food and other essential items. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says that showers will occur at times in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Nuwara Eliya, Kandy, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President instructs to streamline and expedite the island-wide fuel distribution. Fuel pass system is to be implemented island-wide from tomorrow. SJB requests the Prime Minister to convene the Parliament tomorrow. 6 more shipments of gas is scheduled to arrive in the island during the coming weeks. The government and government-approved private schools will reopen tomorrow. In news overseas, WHO declares highest alert over monkeypox outbreak. And in sports news, the second and the final test against Pakistan will begin in Galle today. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.